Welcome, Dr. James Beckett, Sports Card Insights. Thank you, sponsors, Beckett Media, Beckett Grading, Beckett Authentication, ComC.com, Burbank Sports Cards, Mike Stadium Sports Cards, Heritage Auctions, Hugs and Scott Auctions, and Topps, Upper Deck, and Panini. I had a great experience helping my longtime friend. I was in his wedding, sell the collection of his brother-in-law that I knew a little bit. I remember him at the wedding, and then he was an advanced collector down in the Houston area, so I didn't really have much contact with him over the decades, but built a fabulous collection, so much that my friend called me and said after he passed away, he had all this cards and memorabilia in his spare bedroom, in his garage, in the living room, and his wife was a very good sport, because it just was a huge collection. They had somebody come over and make him an offer, and the offer supposedly was $250,000 for everything. And he didn't want to take it, partly because he had a memorabilia auction company I've mentioned before, pushing really hard that they could do a great job. But they were memorabilia specialists, and I convinced my friend not to give them the cards, but to give them a shot at the memorabilia. And they took the best things, and so they were left with still stuff in the garage and stuff in the spare bedroom, but most of the stuff was out of the living room and the dining room, because it was a huge collection. The auction company really far exceeded expectations in terms of the catalog write-ups. They did a fabulous job honoring the deceased, my friend's brother-in-law, Bob, but they underperformed on the auction. They had all these really great autographed things that were authenticated. There was nothing wrong with it. It's just that the auction was not one of my auction sponsors. They were reputable, but they just didn't have the reach. I don't think that Heritage or Huggins and Scott, Golden, or any of the others that you hear a lot about. And so that was a disappointment that they didn't get the money, but they got a fabulous keepsake for the niece and nephew and grandkids of this terrific collector who had a great eye. Shockingly, I think some of the items that remained, as well as some of those in that first auction, did not pass authentication. They were either inconclusive or did not pass. And I'm not sure about that. Again, people want to say that it's just an opinion. No, it's a very reasoned opinion. But if something is questionable, even though it may have been signed in person, they have to stand behind it. So again, it was a very high percentage of the items passed. After we did that, what was left were the lesser memorabilia items and then all these cards. And I said, look, I can help you with the cards. I'll get you somebody that can help you with the memorabilia, because after that initial auction, the auction company came back and said, we'll give you X dollars for all the stuff that's left. And I told my friend, I said, look, I could get you more than that easily for just the cards. So you shouldn't take that offer. And so they didn't. And I said, okay, now we're in this together. I'm going to help you. And it was delightful because I really like this guy. His wife was a good friend. In the middle of all this, my friend's wife passed away. Like I said, I was in their wedding. They're essentially my age, so not that old. And that was bittersweet and melancholy. And yet at that point, I had taken the cards out and gotten the memorabilia to Bill Sleet of Superior Sports Investments, who's a good friend and is local and handles a lot of interesting stuff. And really, I think, a good guy. I think we made a good choice there. But same thing, we were sitting there and, Bill, what do you offer for all the stuff? And when it was just all sitting on the table and on the floor and on the bed, he's throwing out a number there, but it's hard to know. And so finally, we just said, what if we allow you a consignment program for some period of time that's not short? It was almost 2 years. We said, in 2 years, could you project that you would make X dollars? And he said, yes. He said, but I've got to, get all the, I'll put them on eBay. I'm not going to auction because some of these things would be thinly traded. I'll put fixed price. I'll get them all up there. I'll get them pictured. I'll take care of the shipping. I'll back up my truck. I'll pick up all this stuff. And I trusted him, and he came through in the sense that, yes, he did get everything up on eBay, but he can't make it sell. And I explained to my friend, if we did auctions, it might go really low, but everything will go. I think you'll get more if you put reasonable fixed price. And Bill did, but it still sold slow. But it sold. And we were coming down, and the heirs were saying, maybe we don't want to wait till next summer. What if we cashed out at the end of this year? And so if you cash out at the end of the year, you might get a little bit less money, but maybe not very much less money. Basically, the amount of percentage that the dealers will pay, I know from all the collections I bought, is much higher if the if the collection is not picked over. But if the best items have been sold, then you're going to pay a smaller percent. So if we'd have gone on with Bill selling more of the stuff on eBay, and next summer, what will be left will not be great stuff. And so what percentage he would pay or somebody would pay to finish that off would be much lower. So I talked to Bill and I said, well, what would you pay end of this year? What would you stroke a check for instead of this consignment arrangement where you get a percentage and you get paid for doing the shipping and you've already listed and photographed all the items and gotten them authenticated? What would you pay? And he threw out a number and I said, you know what? I think that's good. They're going to do a little bit better than that if they wait till next summer, but I think they're ready for this to be over. And I think we are too. What I learned, I think the hassle factor, the $250,000 offer that he got, I'm not even sure was a firm offer. It was not from the man that was going to write the check. It was from like a runner, a guy that was out there. And I think it was a would you take. If my friend had said, yeah, I'll take 250, then the man with the money would have come out and said, you know what, I can't quite pay that much. Here's 150 or whatever it would have been. So I don't know that the 250 was completely real, but I acted as if it was. And I said, I know you can beat 250. If somebody's offering 250, a lot of times, just as a ballpark, they just think it's worth $1 million. If I pay 250, I can sell it maybe for 500. I can double my money. I think dealers want to double their money. It'd be some work, but there were a lot of nice items in there and a lot of other stuff that would sell if you took the proper time. We wound up in the end, they did get more than the 250, and that's good because I'm the price guide guy. I didn't want to have egg on my face, but the memorabilia, as I said, underperformed, but the cards, I haven't talked about those, but the cards exceeded. Again, the memorabilia guys, I know cards and they knew memorabilia. And I had a great experience. I gave some of the ungraded stuff to Greg Morris, was pleased with that. Gave some of the graded and other items to Rick Probstein and had a good experience there. Both of those entities are big enough that they're not intimidated when we gave them several thousand cards. They paid promptly, professional, and it's what they do. I've never had an experience with those guys really to that extent. And so I'm thinking, would I want to do that for me? We'll get to that at some other point. So I think it's usually good to parse it out. Once we decided we weren't going to take the 250 for everything, which, like I said, I don't know that would have been consummated, then we made the decision we're going to break it first into cards and non-cards. Actually, there were some autographed cards, but mainly autographed photos, magazines, balls, jerseys, things like that. Again, the best stuff was done by this auction house, and the other stuff Bill took and was working it. That's enough about the memorabilia because I'm sports card insight. So what did I learn with respect to cards? Like I said, if you do fixed price and you're patient, you're going to get more money for basic items. High demand items, you might even get more for auction for the highest demand stuff. But there was some good stuff in there. The other thing it allowed me to do, and I'm going to say this publicly, it allowed me, since I sent the stuff into ComC, I had a chance to get it graded by PSA. It's the first time I've ever, and it wasn't me because it was what was in my friend's best interest. There were a few cards there that he had. It wasn't a large group, but I could, through the ComC PSA submission, I was able to put them there. The turnaround was good, but they were cards that were registry type cards. It would not have made sense. I could have sent them to BGS, but not through ComC. eBay, I was trying to explain to him how much more difficult it was to do the memorabilia. Listing things on eBay of unique memorabilia items is so much more difficult than posting things onto ComC, at least for me. I don't have to look up the prices on most of them. I'm obviously pretty good at that. The heirs were asking me, and I said, let's get through the Black Friday sale. That's usually a really good time for ComC, and it was for me in my own account. I did really well over the Black Friday. It's about a 5-day sale where you can do special deals. But I did it for this other account that I'm managing for my friend, and it wasn't huge. And so I thought, you know what? If it's really dropping off like that and dissipating, the diminishing returns, maybe it's time to cash it. We could have kept going. Again, they would have gotten a little bit, but I probably would have had to decrement the pricing again. If you're trying to liquidate your ComC account, there's two ways. You could put some things out in their auction, but I'll reduce the price of my items, and that makes them sell, but then you're getting less money. And I did that a while back for my friend, but at some point you're just spending a lot of time reducing it. And it's not that it didn't sell because the price was too high. The price was fair. It just somebody didn't really want it. And the other alternative, which I decided to do, because it's less than 2,000 cards, which is the limit for ComC to do a portfolio sale. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to sell this portfolio. We've sold for more than a year now, and a lot of the nice items have been sold. There's still some good stuff left, but the best stuff sold. And that shows me. That's why when I'm doing my 1% a month, I'm not putting the best stuff out there, because I could sell a lot more than 1% each month if I wanted to put the best stuff out there. But I'm putting stuff that's not the best stuff. But for my friend, everything must go. If we're really going to cash them out, then they don't want leftovers. It's too many. There's value there. And so ComC has a port sale option. And so I put it up there, and I've promised them I will not take a low ball, that I'll make sure that using my contacts or whatever, I'll make sure somebody could get a really good deal, but I don't want somebody to get a steal. It's not fair to my friend. So at any rate, I got a chance to use Greg Morris. I got a chance to use Rick Probstein. I got a chance to see firsthand the power of PSA's registry, because the PSA cards that were graded and came back, they sold. And I did get the dreaded upcharge on a couple of them. They were over the $500, $499 limit where they upcharge you. And I don't like that. But people that say they don't like that, they have a choice. They can go to some other grading company. But if they think it's worth it to go to PSA, pay the upcharge, and get a better sell-through, they're rationally deciding that. I don't know what else to say other than my friend, they were thanking me, but I thank them for letting me have a real-life experiment that showed me what would happen and the difficulty if somebody was trying to sell off my stuff, if I had an untimely demise. I know I've been doing some tributes and mortality kind of discussions here, but everybody should be prepared. They should have an exit plan. And if you're a close friend of mine, I will give at least consulting experience, which I've done for many. And this is really the main one that I've done hands-on because of a close friend. And I'm probably not going to do it again because it was work, but the work was worth it because of the learning experience. I don't need the learning experience anymore. I can see that ComC sells X percent. I don't know why something sells 1 month or 3 months later or 6 months later. When you price it fairly, you still need somebody to come along and pull the trigger. Thanks, everybody. This has been a tough week for me, but this is a positive that I had a good experience. All's well that ends well. Pretty unique. Don't contact me to say, you do that for me. No, I won't. But like I say, I'm a pro bono consultant, but I'm not a pro bono work for free guy unless it's this unique situation that I was in. And I don't disclose the names of the accounts because I don't really want people buying things because of me or because of some situation. I just want people to buy cards because it seems like a good deal and all that. At any rate, that's it. I'll be back again on Monday with another episode. The